Hi guys, I'm Dean. First time I'm posting a video on the VC. Been around for around a year or so now anyway. You may have seen a few comments, specifically Vinyl Fury and Dr. Deadwax more recently as well. Love the videos you guys do, and you certainly inspired me onto a lot of great music and obviously making a video. So I thought I'd basically use this first post just to quickly go through some of the styles of music I've been listening to, basically since I was a teenager, and more recently back into my sort of vinyl finds, as it were. So rather than me dragging on and droning on, we'll get straight down to it. So first of all, as if anybody's seen my picture on the Google profile, you know I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. So Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. Big turning point for me. It was probably the first Iron Maiden album that I heard. A friend of mine introduced me to Iron Maiden via the Live After Death video, which I was absolutely blown away by. I've never seen so much energy in a band, and I was never really into sort of metal or even really rock at that point in my life. It must have been about it had been 1987, so just before this album came out actually. And like I say, it just blew me away. Fantastic songs, great stage production obviously. Bruce Dickinson's vocal and more of his interaction with the crowd I just thought was fantastic. So when this album came out, you know, it couldn't stop me from buying it. And first concept album that they'd done as well, and pretty much every song all the way through just fits nicely. It's one of the ones that some of the fans didn't quite like, the heavily use of keyboards, that sort of thing, but I think it made the album. Such a great album, and a really good sort of introduction to Iron Maiden. Sort of a nice crossover point from all the stuff they've done before, you know, the punkier, sort of edgy rock metal stuff, to this was really the first sign they were going to go progressive. You know, the more recent stuff, Matter of Life and Death, is pretty much an out and out progressive album, which, you know, from their influences from Purple, Genesis, Tull, you know, obviously we're going to go down that route at some point in the career, and I'm all for it. You know, as you'll see shortly, I do love that sort of stuff. So yeah, certainly again still in my top 5 albums of all time. This great cracking album, and sounds fantastic on vinyl, much better than that horrible CD remaster they did a while back, which is just horrendous. But anyway, Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. Next, band I've just mentioned, and I know band that certainly Dr. Deadwax has just recently had the opportunity of having a great first press by the VCLT. Nursery Crime, Genesis. This was my first introduction to Genesis. Harold the Barrel, of all things. A friend played it to me. He loved the comical value of it. Wasn't really a Genesis fan, but I thought, actually, this sounds great. Who are these guys? Obviously, by the point I was onto them, Phil Collins was the lead singer of Genesis, so I said, well, that doesn't sound like Phil Collins to me. So went back to the early catalogue, and this was the first album I bought of theirs, and absolutely fell in love with Peter Gabriel. Have done since. You know, Genesis were a completely different beast, as you guys all know, with Peter Gabriel on vocals and Phil Collins firmly sat behind his drum kit. Never been the same since, really, since Gabriel left, and I haven't really picked up on anything, you know, Phil Collins era Genesis. But yeah, this is a great album, and I've picked up, I think I've pretty much got all of their stuff, you know, before and after, up until Peter Gabriel's departure. And we've got quite a few of Peter Gabriel's solo albums as well, which again, fantastic solo albums. So yeah, Genesis, Nursery Crime, great stuff. Another one which is a bit different to the first two. Came across these. I used to go to a little record shop in the town where I grew up, which is near Lincoln in the UK, and this guy was a huge sort of Beatles, more importantly McCartney fan, which I am too. He's rubbed that off onto me, I'm afraid. But he put me onto this band, which were very Beatles-esque in the day, and obviously, you know, very influenced by the Beatles. They did a cover of Jet as well at the live shows, and which also ended up on this album as it's like the free EP alongside it. Jellyfish, Belly Button. Not your normal rock band. The lead singer is also the drummer, which is slightly unusual. No, it's not unique, but yeah, fantastic band. I can't recommend them highly enough. Write great pop songs, tinges of rock in there, but certainly if you like the Beatles and that sort of style of music, that style of writing as well, you'll love these guys. King is Half Undressed, I think, was the big single that they had. Can't really think of anything else that they've had sort of in the charts that maybe people would know if they haven't come across them. But yeah, just really good mixture of sort of upbeat, up-tempo, poppy rock songs with some nice little ballads in there, all, you know, well thought out, well-rounded songs. Pretty much, again, like I said a million times, like the Beatles. Yeah, great album. Fantastic. Get hold of this in decent nicks. It does go for a bit of money on eBay. Nothing major, but yeah, it's one that's there's not many of them around. So I picked it up when I saw it for a decent price and in a good condition. So yeah, Jellyfish. Next is since I was around again, I suppose first listening into music, and when I first got into music, I was mainly into female singers. I suppose I was around that sort of age as a teenage boy, and you know, obviously the female form or what have you, but certainly the vocal characteristics of a female over a male, sort of, you know, I sort of took to that more, I suppose. And that's probably why I didn't go down the rock route initially. So Madonna was a big sort of influence musically on me. It's certainly in my early sort of teenage years. Haven't really listened to any of her recent stuff, but the whole female singer-songwriter side of things has always stuck to me. And one of those that's really sort of stuck with me always through the years is Suzanne Vega. And this is one of the first albums that sort of came out around the sort of time I was sort of, you know, looking at experimenting with like having a real decent vinyl collection. So yeah, this was great. Days of Open Hand. Book of Dreams, I think, was the single off the album, which was the one that sort of drew me in and thought, you know, who's Suzanne Vega? Her voice sounds fantastic. Really good songwriting skills. And again, you know, sort of, she's done some great stuff over the years, and Tom's Diner, which was, you know, a bit of a collaboration, a bit of a different sort of you know, output for her. Did really well for her. It's sort of in the charts as well in the UK, and I'm not sure what they did in the States or not, but more recently Fall Out Boy have done a collaboration with, well, I'm not sure what this collaboration, and more of a sort of a sample of Tom's Diner, which I think she's approved of anyway, which again gives it a bit more lease of life, and hopefully, you know, a few more people you know, getting to see some more Suzanne Vega, which is always a good thing. Yeah, fantastic album. Can't recommend her highly enough. But yeah, and you'll see as I go through more, hopefully, of my collection. There's a lot more of Suzanne stuff, as well as a lot more of you know, sort of female singers, songwriters, as well as female fronted, whether it be rock bands, duos, you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you haven't got it, can't recommend it highly enough. It's a fantastic album, certainly one of the best, one of my favourites. And that's about it for now. All I was going to mention was, shout out to Vinyl Fury for, I think I've mentioned this in one of the comments that left, for recommending Opeth. I think it was the Heritage album that he put me onto. Being a metal fan, pretty much stayed, I say, safe. Never really got into the whole sort of shouty, sort of throaty stuff, you know, bands like Opeth and stuff, early days, Napalm Death, that sort of thing. That was just two-way, out there black metal. Wasn't really interested at all. But purely on his say-so, I went out and listened to Heritage. They've gone down the sort of progressive route and absolutely loved it, and it was, you know, couldn't get it off for a while. It was just completely on my turntable all the time. It's just a great album. So when the new one, Pale Communion, came out, I sort of grabbed it, and it's sort of up here along with a couple of others. Again, as good as Heritage, if not better. It seems to be a bit more of a complete album. Yeah, I mean, fantastic. It's just great. So thanks again for recommending Opeth. They are probably one of my favourite bands. of the current period now. Really love what they're doing, and I'm sort of backtracking and sort of trying to find stuff they've done in the past. Picked up the Watershed album on Record Store Day this year as well on green vinyl, which was, again, sounds fantastic. Another great album of theirs. Bit of a crossover, but you know, it's great. But while I'm here, again, a few more different things and stuff. Queens of the Stone Age, Like Clockwork, fantastic album by them. Again, big fan of Queens of the Stone Age. Marillion, as you can see by the t-shirt today. Again, huge fan. With Fish on vocals and with Steve Hogarth. Again, I think both complement the band really well, but in completely different styles. And I love the output, you know, in both periods. So. Streetwalkers, mainly picked this one up, this guy here. Not sure if you can see that. That's Nico McBrain in the background there. Before he joined Iron Maiden in 1983, did quite a bit of work with a few different bands. Streetwalkers being one of them. So again, I like to sort of listen to the bands I like, their influences, where they've worked before, the sort of material they were doing beforehand. And really love Streetwalker stuff. And again, picked this one up recently. Actually, it's on the Vertigo label, and it's a nice sort of double gatefold. Sort of opens out vertically rather than sort of horizontally, which is a bit unusual. But obviously, you've got the long lady's legs there to show off, I suppose. But yeah, as you can see, I've got a few discs. Nothing great, some of you guys out there, but I'm picking up the pace now, and hopefully I'll get to show a few more. So yeah, didn't want to babble on too long in my first video, just in case too many people get too bored. We'll try and fit another video in, possibly over the next few days, and maybe go through the collection and just see what the feedback's like. Thanks again, and like I say, thanks to all the guys out there producing videos. It's really inspired me to sort of divulge myself into different styles of music and different artists that I wouldn't have dreamed of beforehand. So yeah, great. Hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.